Okay, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today's guest, Deb Pinay, isn't just a leader; she's a catalyst for transformation. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, while still in high school, she stepped in to help a struggling TEDx youth team in Brazil reimagine their event from the ground up. With the world in crisis, she stepped in to craft a new theme, reconstruction, challenging audiences to rethink whether they should return to the old ways or evolve into something greater. This experience ignited her passion for creating platforms that amplify hidden ideas, leading her to become the official TEDx licensee of the University of Kentucky during college. But Deb is more than just an event organizer. She's a rare bridge between vision and execution. She thrives in spaces where ideas meet action, managing complex projects, aligning diverse teams, and distilling intricate concepts into simple, mind-blowing insights. Whether she's rallying thought leaders or orchestrating transformative discussions, Deb is on a mission to bring groundbreaking ideas into the spotlight and turn possibility into reality. All right, well, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's very nice to be here.
So you have a big event coming up. I want to jump right into that. Listen, if you're in the Lexington, Kentucky area, your event is is this coming Tuesday, right? No, 2 Tuesdays from now. 2 Tuesdays from now. The 25th from 4:30 to 8.
Until 7:30. Yeah.
All right, awesome. That's super exciting. This is your second year running it.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, let's find out more about your story. So Deb, tell us about Brazil. Tell us about what got you into TED in Brazil. Why were you there? What were you doing? How'd you get started?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I used to be part of several different projects. And that was really good because I had many connections within my high school and with other students that were also in several other projects. And they knew me pretty well. So there was a TEDx team. They were organizing TEDx Youth Cidade Jardim, which is in Brazil, in the southeast of Brazil. And the team was already formed and they already had the speakers and they were initially planning it until COVID hit. And then they couldn't do it anymore. They had to reschedule the date. Some of the speakers didn't want to do it anymore. And they were really like, okay, are we actually doing this or are we not? And they kind of hit a ground point of what are we going to do? And then that's when they invited me. And they were like, you should come, you should join us. We need you here. And then we were rebuilding the project. And then we changed the theme. The theme became reconstruction because it really suited the idea of being during COVID and are we going back? People used to say a lot about the old normal. I personally don't like that expression a lot, but are we going back to the old normal or are we building something new? And then that was kind of the theme of the project. It was online, unfortunately. We had the speakers coming in person, but it was only live streamed. And I think I really liked the experience, but part of me wanted to have the whole experience in person, a more professional one, in college with more resources. And then that's kind of what drove me to actually do this and apply for a license while I was here at the University of Kentucky.
That's exciting. So, all right. So in Brazil, they invited you on and you had reconstruction was the theme. What was your favorite talk from that?
Ooh, hard question. I have 2 talks that I really, really liked. One of them was Roberto, and he was talking about how mother doesn't exist. And that was the title of his talk. And the second one that I really liked was Patrick's talk. And he was talking about how we should basically change the whole education model to focus more on learning and teaching what is actually useful for people instead of just knowledge that is not easily applied.
I like that. So if there's one subject you would drop and one subject that you would add for you, what are those 2 subjects?
For the old TEDx?
The old stuff you would drop and what would be the new subject that you would add?
Ooh, between those 2 or between any talks?
Oh, no. Well, I'm talking, you said you like you talk where they talk about changing the education system?
Yeah. Oh, you mean in the education system? I think it's hard to generalize for a whole subject. The education system in Brazil works completely different because basically all of the subjects are mandatory. So when
Okay.
I was taking 16, 17 subjects all at the same time.
Oh goodness, that's a lot.
I
At
would
the same
say,
time.
yeah, I think I would focus more on editing and like not going as deep in some of the subjects. So maybe
Okay.
you don't have to go as deep as they normally go in organic chemistry when you're in high school, but they should definitely teach you financial education or how to speak
Yes.
in public. So that's kind of how I would shift things.
Yeah. Given those two options, I think I would drop organic chemistry in high school.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So now you're at UK. You're a student at UK.
Mhm.
You got your TEDx license when you were 19. That
Yes.
was last year, right? So
It
what was
was
your?
2022.
Oh, it was 2022.
Sorry. No, it was August 2023. Yeah. And then the first event was April 2024.
Gotcha. That
Yes.
makes sense. That makes sense because it takes a while to recruit all the speakers and
Yeah.
sign them up. That's okay. What was your favorite talk from last year's TED Talk?
Whew, that's a hard question. You're putting me on the spot here. I think I would go with the artist ATB.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. He was incredibly engaged in TEDx and he was really passionate by it. I gotta say, his talk is a little complex. So when we were working together, we were trying to make it simpler because the first few versions were kind of like talking about a lot of different concepts. But it's so interesting. His whole project is how he has his art and he does equal arts and he burns them, which is quite bold. And
Yeah.
then it's the initial one is for a very cheap price. And then the second one doubles the price. The third one doubles the price. And they keep doubling the price. And it's for a limited amount of time. And then if it's not sold by the end of, when the deadline hits, all of the other ones are gone. And it's a very interesting concept. And I was really fascinated by it when I was listening to it. It was really a new idea worth sharing.
That is a classic ATB sort of a thing to do. I've known Adam for quite some time, and he is very inspiring as an artist. But like
Mhm.
the game theory behind what he's doing there is very next level. That doesn't surprise me at all. Though I wish I had seen the
Yeah.
talk. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's online if you want to watch it. If I'm not wrong, the title is the oh my gosh, it's the art of saving time or something like that. I could double check, but it's really, really interesting.
We'll get that in the comments. Yeah, we'll get that in the comments. Okay, so you've been putting on. You've helped with several TEDx events. You have the new one. What is your favorite story? Not favorite speech, but what is your favorite story as you've met these inspiring speakers, as you've coached them, as you've put them on stage? What is your favorite transformational story? Or it doesn't have to be transformational, but what's your favorite story from leading TED?
I would say easily how it all got started.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, I had a license, and I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what to do. And then I didn't know how to organize events in the university. I had studied the TED guidelines, but UK also has many guidelines, and I had to learn all of it and all the rules and the bureaucracies behind it. And I initially started talking to many UK staff members because they kind of knew how the program would, like how the system works. And initially, I was working a lot with some specific people at UK. And I wanted to get a team of like members to help me out because it's a very big project to do it alone. And I definitely need people. I think without the team, nothing would happen. I'm incredibly grateful to everyone that's helping me out here. And then initially we had this team, and this team had some staff members, it had some students, but the students in the team, they worked for the staff members. So it was like kind of part of their job because the staff members recommended. And I was really missing teamwork and collaboration because they were kind of expecting me to present to them what I had so far. And it was like, oh, okay, we need to create a budget for the event. And then the next meeting, I was supposed to present the budget. And I was really missing the group work. And because it was a lot of things to do alone, things weren't really moving forward. That it got to a point that the team was like, okay, things are not really moving forward, so we may step out. And then when they decided to step out, I still had a license. I still had the whole opportunity to organize the event.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what to do. And I was completely lost. And I was like, okay, so what?
No, I love that story because leading a team, I work with nonprofits as well as for-profit companies. And the nonprofits inevitably say to me, they're like, well, we have a volunteer staff. And I say that everybody's a volunteer staff. I mean, sometimes I pay people, sometimes they work. Like the amount of people that I've paid in my life and the amount of people that have worked for me in my life is a different, like those are not the same number. Not everybody works hard.
Yeah.
And you have to, as a leader, you have to give that sense of progress to keep the team engaged, whether they're paid or a volunteer. So yeah, I feel the pain there. I put on a big event in January, and yeah, very much the volunteers need to feel like progress is being made. Here,
Yeah, and I feel like it was a problem of authority as well, because I was the licensee of TEDx, and I was like, okay, I have an idea in my mind of how we can run things, but I was also dealing with staff members that worked at the university, and they were kind of telling me, oh, you got to do this. While it wasn't really a teamwork, and I really missed the teamwork, and I couldn't do it without their help. And then they decided to step out, and I gotta say, listening to their feedback, because when they stepped out, they were like, this event is never gonna work out because you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you probably won't do things organized enough to make it happen. They really like crushed the whole idea.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because I knew exactly what could go wrong, and then I knew exactly the problems that I had to solve. And then after that, I had one person that I knew that was a co-organizer, that's Joe Thrupp, and he was the one like, let's do this. I can really see this going far. And then me and Joe, we decided to just pretend that everything was official. And then we're like, okay, let's do this. We need to work with the students because students are the ones that are actually going to put the work. And I don't blame at all the staff members because they are incredibly busy. Like I wouldn't ask them to do such a long project. That in the end, we were like, let's focus on students. Let's divide committees. We need people for decoration. We need photographers, like people to take pictures. We need video production, we need speakers committee, we need event management. We thought of everything that had to be done. And then we basically stalked all the professors in the university. We were like, what are all the photography professors? And then we emailed each one of them. What are all the TED Talks professors or CIS? Because UK has a TED Talk class. It's a communication class that has a TED Talk assignment. Let's send them a bunch of emails. Finance professors, let's send them a bunch of emails. And then we had people applying. We had an application. We selected the team. And it was the best team I could have ever asked for. People were incredibly motivated. We had an amazing culture, a very strong feedback culture. And then things from there started really going forward and moving forward. But with TEDx, the first event, we actually got started in January. And the event was in April. So we had a really strict timeline. So we kind of things had to run smoothly so that it could happen. And it was sold out. In the end, people loved it. So it's surprising to look back and think how close I was to not do it at all.
Right. And now that you've done it, like doing a second one seems like the natural thing to do, right? Like you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I have it all in my head. I can make it happen. You still need a team, but
yeah, honestly, it's still a lot of figuring out because we had more people in the team and we're always changing the theme. So now it's Mosaic Minds. And I think one of the main drivers for motivation for people in the team is feeling like they are creating something and that they matter. And I try my best to not approach it as, okay, I know what I'm doing. Those are the tasks. But actually be like, okay, let's figure it out. What are we going to do now? What are the next steps? And try to have many of that things coming from them. Because I feel like that would make people way more engaged as well.
No, I love it. You've stumbled across so many fantastic leadership moments. One of the big ones is if you sit around waiting for the people that are in charge to give you approval or like help you, like you can just go do things. And when
Mhm.
you go do things, it works generally well. I think there's this idea that there's experts out there, and there certainly are people that are more experienced, but just raw energy and raw, like, I'm going to go make this happen no matter what. And I'm going to listen to feedback and I'm going to push, push, push. That's what gets stuff done.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and the discouragement, I'd say, made the event way better. And people that know me well, they always say that my red flag is that I always want feedback, and I'm always like, what didn't work? Give me constructive criticism. And I usually tend to give feedback to other people as well quite often, because I think it's quite useful, especially when you're dealing with projects that have so many little things that could go wrong. I think listening to those things in advance is definitely one of the main things that you should look for.
oh yeah, with every team I've ever been on, I do what I call a pre-mortem. So a post-mortem is like the hot rinse, or the thing that you do after something fails, and you're like, why did it fail? You kind of talk through it. And I told my team, I'm like, all right, now that we've planned this thing out, I want us to take a break, shake your head, get the willies out. All right, it failed. Why did it fail? And then I'm trying to
Mhm.
solicit that. What did we not think of philosophy beforehand? And that invariably gives me some great feedback. It's kind of like what
Yeah.
you experience. It's folks who are like, well, I don't want to say anything, but I'm uncomfortable about. And then all of those little pieces of advice, like those
Mhm.
were some of the most valuable, helpful things. That's
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
So, have you done a TED talk?
No, I haven't. That's definitely something on my bucket list.
Yeah,
But I have more experience correcting the TED Talks, not correcting, but like providing feedback
yeah.
and points of improvement and what is and isn't working. I think I do that more than actually creating the talk myself. But again, I love to get feedback. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do enjoy that a lot. But also for you to give a TED talk, you need to be an expert in what you're talking about. And I hope to become an expert, to have like done my own research and have a lot of content to give a TED talk in the future. But nowadays, I really like to be in the organizing side.
No, that's cool. So, all right, what are you talking about doing research and becoming an expert? You're still at university. You're still at UK.
Yes,
What's your major?
psychology.
Psychology. And what do you think that what aspect do you think you might start peeling the lid on and doing some research in?
Yeah, I am really interested. Currently, I'm deciding whether I want to go into organizational psychology or human resources. Uh, I love organizational psych and what they study and what they research. I do have a lot of research experience, but the problem with that is that I'm a people person and I want to work with people, and I would be way happier having a meetings back to back, solving problems and figuring out what's wrong and how to improve it and how to increase working culture and employee fulfillment. Um, and human resources really plays a role into that. I'd say long run, maybe having a, that's still quite open, but maybe a consulting company with companies, so I could like provide feedback and advice on how to improve their working culture and many aspects of positive organizational psychology. I'm just thinking currently whether the best way to get there is through human resources or through organizational psych. But I do really like both of those fields, and they overlap a lot as well.
They do overlap. In fact, they overlap so much that I am leery to go on record as giving you my advice. I think they're both
Go
fantastic.
ahead.
Um, yeah, actually, I mean, I think that leading some TEDx talks is a great foot in the door for consulting work. I know there's some great firms out there like BCG and McKinsey um, that are multidimensional, right? They have the financial analysts, and they have the business people, and they have the HR people. I'm excited for you. That's cool. Well, let's switch gears here real quick. Let's talk really pointedly about your big event here. So
Mhm.
TEDx 2025 is on 3/2025 from 4:30 to 7, $15 for a ticket. You got a QR code in here. We'll throw this up in the comments. Let me hit the button. That's the website in the comments. Come on out. Is this at the Gatton Ballroom? No,
It is.
Gatton School.
It's Ballroom C at the Student Center at the University of Kentucky. And although it is University of Kentucky, it is open to anyone. We want to engage Lexington community or Kentucky community as much as possible. So even if you're not from UK or a staff member or a student, you're also welcome to be there.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to have a TED Talk in Lexington. I think it's very cool. I think there's Bellarmine. I think maybe has one over in Louisville.
They do. Yes, I've talked to them a lot early on to get their advice. So me and other people from the team as well, we got in touch with a licensee there. He works at the university, although he does have a lot of students in the team as well. And he gave us amazing advice on what to do, what not to do. So I really like the TEDx at Bellarmine as well.
Oh, cool. All right. So what's the topic for Kentucky's this round?
The theme?
Yeah. What's the theme for this year?
It's Mosaic Minds. What we mean by that is how you can get small pieces of knowledge from different areas and different fields, kind of like a mosaic, and put it together in one meaningful whole. So that could either be having one idea that is unifying things from different fields, or having one idea that can be applied to many different fields.
I like it. That's exciting. And I think you have 6 or 7 speakers, right?
Yeah, we got 6, and their talks are amazing. So I'm quite excited to see them live. They're all putting a lot of work into that.
Yeah, actually, Steve Seidel and I are good friends, and I've been excited to see his talk develop. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when we've talked before, you mentioned this is a phrase of yours: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Tell me what that means to you in your life.
Yeah, that's a quote. Not my original phrase, but that is definitely something that I say very often. Have you ever heard of the self-fulfillment prophecy?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think they really go along the same route. For people that don't know it, the self-fulfillment prophecy basically says, that's what they say. They say that if you believe you can do something, you will do it. And that is incredibly research proven. The way it works is because you believe you can do it, you're going to change your behavior and you're going to act in a way that you can actually reach whatever your goal is, and then you're going to reach it. While if you believe you can't do it, but you're going to have it in my mind, I don't think I can do it, but I'll try it. Then you're going to have way less engagement. You're not going to engage in the, I don't want to say right behaviors, but in the behaviors that are probably going to lead to the results that you want. And then it doesn't happen. So it is quite impressive how what you believe can happen actually plays a role in what actually does happen.
It's a crazy world. I'm an engineer, and so I like to see things that are linear, like things that work like clockwork and go tick, 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 tick. But yeah, I in my life and in your life, in my kids' life, 100%. If you believe you can do it and you're dedicated to putting in the time, it can be done. What is your favorite example of that in your life?
Honestly, TEDx. I can definitely come up with additional examples as well, but TEDx, I believe in the idea, even though I had discouragement. And when I was choosing the team, my main criteria was, are they excited and do they believe that's going to happen? And people that were really excited, like, oh my gosh, we can totally do this. We can do this, this, and this. I'm like, that's an amazing sign for you to be selected.
I love that as a selection criteria. It's in the consulting that I do, people ask, how do you find good employees? It's a very common thing that people struggle with. And finding little green flags like that. I had one guy called it, I look for people that have a chip on their shoulder, not like a bad one, but like they have something to prove in the world and they're willing to put the energy in and the excitement in to get it done. And yours is they catch the vision, they catch the energy. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Another example in my life that phrase kind of made me have the initiative is actually studying the US. Because I was in Brazil and moving abroad was really out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And I kind of had this idea in the back of my mind for, I think, since 8th grade. But I was like, it's incredibly expensive because college in the US is incredibly expensive. I need to pay it in a different currency. No way I'm going to be able to afford. No way I'm going to get accepted in the universities that I want. Scholarships are very competitive. That's probably not going to happen. Until I'm like, okay, but I actually think I can do it. And then that's when I actually decided to apply. And it was quite surprising, the results that I was receiving. And now I work as an international ambassador, and I also teach SAT math for students, like Brazilian students that want to come to help them get scholarships. And it's impressive, like how many people are able to do it, even if they, in theory, don't have the financial resources. So that's another field that this can easily be applied.
Yeah, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
It happens.
I love it. I love it. Now, on the scholarship things, I'll just kind of challenge the audience here. My daughter is going to college next year, right? So scholarships have been our world at the moment. It is remarkable how few people actually complete their scholarship. So at one institution, it's like 85% of people start the application and don't ever complete the application, much less compete. They just don't complete the application. So if you just complete the application, you're already beating out 85% of your competitors. Is a fun way to think of it.
Yeah, that's impressive.
If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, I think that may be a little bit different with international students, because you usually have international only scholarships.
Right.
And one of the scholarships that I have that is international ambassador, depending on the country you're coming from, it is incredibly competitive because they want to have as many countries represented as possible. And Brazil is, I want to say the country, I don't know if it's but definitely top 3 countries, top 5 for sure. But I think it's the top 1 country that they have the biggest amount of applicants. And the year that I applied, they have over 100 applications and only 2 people got selected. So it was like a 1-point-something% acceptance rate, because people in Brazil are always applying for a bunch of scholarships. So it can be quite challenging for that scholarship, depending on where you're coming from, because it depends how many applicants are coming from the same country as you.
So you're in the UK, you're in the US now. What is your favorite thing about American culture that's not in Brazilian culture? And what do you miss most about Brazilian culture?
Okay, I'm going to start with the second question because it's easier.
Yeah.
I think the food. I really miss Brazilian meals. Yeah. And my family knows that. So they're always sending me pictures. I think every time my mom's eating a steak, she makes sure she's going to call me.
Good for her.
Or even açaí. Cool. They kind of sell it in Lexington, but it's kind of a smoothie with berries and it's not the same. Yeah. You can find good açaí in Brazilian stores, but in Lexington, they don't have any. So I really miss the food. I think what I like the most, in my context, I would say university life, which is one of the main drivers that made me want to come. Yeah. But I think the college experience is so immersive that you make so many meaningful relationships and you have so many opportunities to actually get involved, and you have so many clubs and you have sports, and you have so many areas that you can grow, while in Brazil, it's not nearly as much. For example, you don't have dorms. And in my city, because I live in a very big city, most people go to university in their city. So it's not such a culture to move places. It's common. And if you're from a very small town, then you're probably going to go to a bigger city to go to a bigger university that has extra resources. But if I went, I would probably stay in my city, stay with my parents, which I would love to. Super get along with my family. I really miss them. But I really enjoy how immersive and integral the education is, because it's not just your major. You can add minors, you can add certificates, you can change your major easily. It's so much flexibility built into that I feel like I can develop myself in way extra fields other than the academic.
Yeah, no, totally. life's been good to me, but I do miss my college days. They were a good time. Fun time to be with friends, fun time to learn and just explore and grow. That's cool. Well, we're running short on time here. I'm going to give you the last minute or so. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience?
I would say, again, I would really want to encourage people to come to TEDx. We are having 6 speakers. They're going to talk about incredibly different things. If you just Google TEDx UKY, you can probably find the description of each one of them. It's also in my Instagram. And it's going to be amazing. So we do have tickets open. I would just want to encourage people to come. And I'm happy to share more about my experience and how to make it better. And I would love to hear some feedback on that as well.
I'd love to hear some feedback on that as well. All right. Well, here's the stuff on the screen again. Again, the link is in the comments. It's 3/25. So it's 2 Tuesdays from now, from 4:30 to 7, $15 a ticket, 6 speakers, TEDx in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm going to put a little sharper teeth to that. Listen, you need to come out and support Deb. You need to come out and hear these amazing speakers that have put 6 months into tuning their talk just for you. The opportunity to have a TED event in Lexington is fantastic. This is a world-renowned event that has really high standards, and Deb has spearheaded here to put it on. It sold out last year. It's going to sell out this year. Your tickets, not very many tickets are left. Go get them now, and I will see you on Tuesday. And so with that, we are out.